Okay, so quadratics. Quadratics is all about finding the x-intercept. So main points of quadratics. We find the x-intercepts using 3 different strategies. First of all, your x-intercepts are known as your solutions, your roots, or your zeros. You can find them by either graphing, by factoring, or using the quadratic formula. Okay? Other questions that can be tested over quadratics may be finding the y-intercept, which is also known as your starting point, your beginning amount, your initial value. They may ask you to find the vertex, which is also known as your minimum or maximum. They may also ask you, and this has become very popular in the last couple of years, they may also ask you to find the axis of symmetry. That is the line that splits the parabola in half. The equation will always be x equals a number. This is not to be confused for your asymptote. Axis of symmetry is not the asymptote. Your asymptote is exponential, not quadratic, okay? So just be careful. Now, transformations is something else that's covered in this, but we're going to cover that in packet number 7. Okay. So we have 2 different ways of writing quadratic functions, either in y equals or in function notation. If they write it in function notation with an f of x, it's going to look like this: x minus h squared. Oh wait, that's vertex form, sorry. They would write it as f of x minus h, or here they would write it as f of x plus c. They would just replace the x squared with f of x. They would replace the x squared with f of x. In this other one, they would get rid of the squared and put an f in the front. Now, different parts of the parabola, just because that you can get tested over all of them. That very first point is pointing to the what? Vertex. To the vertex, and your vertex is also known as your what? Your minimum or your maximum, but this one is specifically a maximum. The next point is pointing to what?
0.
No? Your y-intercept, your starting point, initial value, whatever. The next 2 are pointing to your x-intercepts, which are known as your zeros, your solutions, your roots, okay? Now look at that box that's dropping down from x-intercept. It says when we factor or kidnap, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for your x-intercept. If you don't have a graph, then yes, you factor or kidnap. But if you have a graph, just find your x-intercepts. Don't make it more difficult than it should be, okay? That last box is pointing to the line that splits it down the middle, which is your axis of symmetry. Now, this one is specifically what?
On 2.
X is equal to what? 2. X equals 2. It's always going to be x equals a number, but this one is specifically x equals 2. All right. Questions about the parts? Turn the page. Vertex. Questions about the vertex can either ask you for the minimum or maximum value. If they ask you for the minimum or maximum value, they're going to include a graph, okay? Those questions always include a graph. So like this example right here, it's asking for the maximum or the minimum. This one is a what? Minimum because it's a low point. Okay? Now that minimum is specifically what number?
-4.
-4. When they ask you for the minimum, they're asking you for the y value. Now notice that's 2 drag and drops. So that means that counts as 2 whole questions. Don't get something like that wrong. The next one it says specifically what?
Maximum.
The maximum. So if I go to the very top of my parabola, what is the very
225.
It's 225. the y value, okay? Notice that they labeled 4 other points. Those are just there to throw you off, okay? They're just there to trick you, so be careful. The next part is vertex form. Testing strategies for vertex form. You have equation. Look at your answer choices. All of your answer choices are solved for y, correct? So what you could do is you could put all of these into y equals and check to see which one has both points. Now I can also eliminate an extra step because I know, or an extra 2 answer choices because I know that the vertex is h and k, correct? And in vertex form, which is on the formula chart, is a x minus h plus k. So if I look to see which ones have the correct h and k, that would be b and d. So I can at least get rid of a and c if I remember that part. If I don't remember that part, look for both points. From there, I'm going to type in b into my calculator. I'm going to type B, answer choice B into my calculator. Meaning you need to be practicing, so yes, type it into your calculator. So 9 parentheses x minus 1 squared plus 46. And then hit second graph. And you want to see if 310 is part of it. But this one gives me 382 instead of 310. So now I'm going to type in answer choice D.
Whose phone is that?
That would be mine. So answer choice D is negative 9 x minus 1 squared plus 46. And if I hit second graph, that one gives me 310. So the answer is D. Oh my gosh, let me. Them family group messages, man. What's the next page?
Oh, the next page.
Matching graph and equation.
Okay. Matching a graph to an equation. Intimidating, but not really. Okay. There's 2 different ways to do this. Let's just do it this way first. You can create your own table from those points. There's 5 good points on here.
There's 148.
Let's do the obvious one. 0, 0. What else?
148.
148. 264.
And then 348.
348.
And then 40.
And then 40. Now, what can you do with any and every table?
Vertex.
Nope.
Free.
Stat.
Oh,
But when we go to stat edit, what option do we use?
4.
For quadratics?
Five.
3, 4, 5.
Cinco.
We never use 3. 5. 5 for quad. If you forget, read it. If you forget, read the calculator, okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put it in stat edit.
Oh, crap.
Put your points in. Then when you go to stat calc, notice number 5 says quad for quadratic. So that's how you can remember, or that's how you can figure that out. Alpha trace. And then you get your A, B, and C, right? So A is negative 16, B is 64, C is 0. That means we can at least narrow it down to A and C. What is your answer?
C.
C. Now, A lot of students, after we did one just like this the other day, they said, okay, well, we didn't do C, so C is never there. No, the only reason C doesn't exist in this equation is because you're not going to write a plus 0. But if C was another number, it would be there. If C was 256, it would be there, okay? The only thing wrong with answer choice A is that it says minus 64 instead of plus. So make sure you're double checking those signs as well, okay? The next one, same thing, matching a graph to the equation. But look at the equation that they've given you. It's in binomial form. Because it's in binomial form, a lot of students are intimidated because they don't want to solve it. Let the calculator do the solving for you. This is technically ready to put into y equals. Okay? So I'm going to put the equation into y equals. And I'm just going to let the calculator do the math for me. X plus 1, x minus 3.
That's favorable.
Let the calculator do the math for you. If you see something in y equals, if you see something that is already solved for y, chances are you can put it into y equals. I'm going to hit graph and eliminate any obvious answers. I can, since my vertex is in the 4th quadrant, I can eliminate what answers? J and G. Those are the obvious ones that I can eliminate.
And also, is it because their signs
My bad.
are opposite?
What?
If their signs are opposite? That's what I did.
Oh, yeah.
That makes no sense.
You marked the wrong one.
Now from there,
You marked the wrong
You
one.
marked the wrong one.
I marked the wrong ones out. Sorry.
Answer
H and G. Okay.
That's J and G.
Oh my gosh.
Miss, don't worry, I confused my J's for my G's. J?
The bottom.
Okay.
Like this guy, he says J.
Both bottom.
JD.
There we go. Sorry.
Yes, JD.
Now from there, you want to check the zeros, so you hit second graph. This one is crossing at 1 and negative 1 and 3. They're both F. Both F and H are crossing at 1, negative 1 and 3, Chenny. So you have to check the vertex. So you couldn't eliminate based off of negative 1 and positive 3.
Because of their vertex.
Because they're both crossing at negative 1 and positive 3. You have to check the vertex.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
So
that's
the
why I
vertex
eliminated.
is what? 1, negative 4 or 1, negative 2. So now check the table to see which vertex matches up. So if I go to second graph, it's 1, negative 4. So your answer is F. All right. What's the next page?
Solutions.
Huh?
Solutions. It says which function is what? Equivalent. Anytime you see that, equivalent means what?
Equal.
Or
Opposite.
the same. Last week we learned a calculator trick where we plugged in 6.7 and got the decimal value, right? Now, there's another way to do it, and you can use this for even what we did last week. You can type, since this one is already in y equals form, you can type all of this into y1 and your answer choices into y2. And see which graph matches, which graph is the same. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do with the first equation. So I'm going to type in 4 parentheses x minus 3 squared. Once again, I'm letting my calculator do the math for me.
Go ahead and do the y equal, my boy.
So my question part into y1, answer choices one at a time into y2. And if they're the same, one of them is going to graph on top of the other. So this is answer choice A. It didn't graph on top of the other one, so it's not A. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back to y equals. I'm only going to get rid of y2. I don't have to type in the question part again. 4x squared plus 41. Hit graph. With answer choice B, notice nothing else graphed, but my little circle went away, so that means everything that needs to be graphed is graphed. So that tells me that it's not B. Now answer choice C, 4x squared. I hit graph. And you see the blue one and the red one will be exactly on top of the other one. Got it? See that? So that means your answer is C. Now, in first period, I do have somebody, unfortunately, that is colorblind. So he said, how am I supposed to know that one of them graphed on top of the other? Go to your table. Second graph. Look at all of your Y values. They're all exactly the same. But I did tell him, if one side is negative and one side is positive, that doesn't match. They both have to be exactly the same. Same sign and everything. Okay?
I know who you're talking about.
Yes, you do know who I'm talking about. Probably.
I just remembered.
Okay. What's the other one?
Miss, can you drew something?
It's the same thing, but on the other side.
Okay. So it says statement but true.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at your equations. They're all what? Solve for y. So you're just going to type your question into y1 and all of your answer choices into y2. So see which one matches up. See which one gives you the same exact graph. And you should be practicing this, Kennedy, actually typing it in. If you don't type it in, you're not going to remember the day of the test. And if you have to repeat algebra all over again, I'm going to say he just never practiced. So.
Or I told you so.
Or I told you so.
I could never repeat
it. If there's anybody close to repeating.
There's people that did worse than you. Yeah, like Spencer.
So if you look at answer choice A, not even close.
I don't even think you know this.
Dang it.
Anybody find the answer yet?
No.
This is answer choice B.
Well, I tried to graph and I accidentally erased my whole thing.
Still not the same.
Bro, you're the only one laughing, baby.
If I do answer choice D, there's my parabola, and the other one graphs right on top of it. So answer choice D is correct. Very good.
Okay, pues. Are we finally ready to start on the packet?
No.
Oh, man.
Solutions and solution set. Remember, solution set, what does that represent?
Answers.
Or your x-intercept. So that is saying that all of these answer choices are my x-intercept. If I look at the question part of it, it's already solved for y. So what can I do? Put it into calculator, put it into y1. So I'm going to put that into y1.
Hey, Susie,
3x squared.
Yeah, no.
Hey, Sus.
I'm typing.
Hey, Sus, I will tell your mom.
No.
Hit graph.
She is working.
She would tell me.
I know for sure one of my solutions, my zeros is what? -1. So I can at least get rid of C and D. Now the other one is a what? Fraction. So what I can do there is I can figure out what the x-intercept is. Okay? And I can use that using second trace. So I'm going to press second trace number 2. What? Number 2? Now, we're looking for this x-intercept right here, correct? Your star will always start in the middle. And we're going to practice this with the next example as well. So this is only the first example. So I'm going to move it as close as I can to the x-intercept because that's what I'm looking for. This one allows you to put it right on top of the x-intercept. Not every time. It doesn't allow you to do this every time. Now, if it says left, even if it goes up and down, hit the left arrow. It's going to go down this time. Sometimes it goes up. Hit enter. Now it says right. So you're going to go to the right a couple of times.
Right 2? You did
Yeah.
it backwards.
Hit enter. Enter again. And this one gives you 1.67.
That was an error. Me too. I got error. I thought it was supposed to go left then.
That's left. That's left and that's right. So
I'm going to show you one more time and then we're going to practice again with the next example, okay?
Okay, Blair.
All right. So the first thing you do is you hit second trace number 2 because number 2 is your 0, meaning your x-intercept. Kennedy, you are not typing this in. You want to get onto Jesus. Jesus, you want to get onto Kennedy, but both of you are not doing this. If you're not going to practice this, I'll just kick you out and you can do this on your own in ISS. I'm done playing around. Put the star will always start in the middle on the y-axis. Put it on or as close as you can to the x-intercept. This says left. You're not allowed to use your up and down arrows. So just push the left arrow. It's going to go down. That's okay. Push enter after it goes down. Now it says right. So you're going to go to the right side of it. Push the right arrow. 1, 2. Then push enter twice. 1, 2. And you get 1.67. Did y'all get it this time?
Yes, sir.
If you get error, let's try again with the next one, okay? Because the next one we're going to calculate both of them. That would be this one. Oh, we're going to calculate only one of them. It says, what is the positive solution? If you look at this, this is already solved. All of my numbers are already on one side of the equation. So we're going to put this into y equals.
Not sure how many.
And then I hit graph. Yours is zoomed out.
Yeah, you have to
Put zoom 6. You don't have to. You don't have to. So if you look at it in a standard window, it's only going to show you the positive side anyway. If it was asking for the negative solution, I can't see it. So yes, I would zoom out, but I don't have to do it in this one. Now, this one looks like it's already crossing at what? What number? 2. So yeah, it would be the number 2. But because I want to practice using that second trace feature, go ahead and push second trace. Second trace number 2. Now, even though you can't see it, the star always starts in the y-axis. So move it to the right until you get to that 2. This is as close as it'll let me get to it. The first question says left, so I'm going to hit the left arrow at least once or twice. Okay, push enter. Now hit the right until it moves to the other side. Enter, enter, and there's your x-intercept, 2, 0.
It doesn't matter how it doesn't matter if we do it once or twice though.
As long as it moves to one or the other side.
Got it?
Is that the whole booklet?
Yes.
All right, now there are certain ones that students were having trouble with on the packet, so move over to the packet.
What do I do with this? The other packet?
You hold on to them, don't lose them. One of them being numbers 5 and 6. Those are transformations which we're going to cover in another, in another booklet, but just because it's on this packet, let's move to that. For number 5, it is asking what is the vertex of this one, but it's written in function notation form. So that's what's throwing everybody off. Okay? G of x just switches back to y equals. If you look at the right side of this equation on number 5, it has parentheses. So if I use my formula chart, this second line is the only one that has parentheses, correct? So the only thing that this formula has that the one on paper doesn't is what?
Negative.
Not negative. The squared on the outside. So I'm going to take the f away and write x plus 7.2 squared. Now I have it ready to put into y equals. So put that into y equals. And then hit graph. Where does it put your vertex?
In the negative side.
In the negative side. So I know for sure it's negative. So I get rid of A and C. Correct?
Mm.
Now, is that point negative 7.20 or 0 negative 7.2?
0.
Negative
It's negative
7.
7.
That's on the x-axis, so it's B.
And also, can't you determine that it would also be negative because of the equation?
Mhm. You can. The next one. You change the g of x back to a y. Once again, you get rid of the f and put the squared on the outside. Yes, you can determine the vertex based on the equation, but let's say you can't. Put it into y equals x minus 3 squared minus 9, and then hit graph.
We don't know because it's not in the line, so we have to do.
Well, what kind of numbers are here? Or you can, what? Second trace? 3 for minimum? Yes? That's one that we've already learned. So put it on the vertex. Then move it to the left side of the vertex. Enter. Move it to the right side of the vertex. Enter, enter. And you get
3 negative 9.
3 negative 9.
Miss, I got a question. I wrote the exact same thing, but like, which one is it? So
Now, this is also vertex form, so you could have also just pulled the point. A minus 3 means it's positive. Minus 9 stays the same. That's also vertex form. The other one that they did have trouble with
Miss, I got
looks
this.
like number 8.
I wrote it the same way.
That's because yours is zoomed out too much.
I didn't even hit zoom.
Those positives and negatives, solutions means what?
Zeros.
8.
Your x-intercepts. I'm trying to think of what's the easiest way to solve this one. The easiest way would actually be to just solve it, but what you're going to need is the easiest way is going to be to get the decimal values of them. So to get the decimal values of the first one, you can't type in a plus negative, a positive negative into the calculator. So what you're going to have to do is negative 3 over 5 plus square root of 15. And then also negative 3 over 5 minus square root of 15. So that's the decimal value for this one, for both of those x-intercepts. One of them is 3.27. The other one is negative 4.47. Okay? Now, to find the x-intercepts of this graph right here, everything has to be on the same side to be able to put it into y equals. So to put that into y equals, I have to subtract the 75. And then I let the calculator do the math for me. I can put all of that into y1. The calculator will do the math. Okay? Whew. So y equals minus 75.
And then graph.
Mm-hmm. Look at your two zeros. And you can calculate them. Second trace, number 2. Since I know my star is somewhere in the middle, I'm going to move it to the left until it gets as close as, oh, there it is. That's as close as I can get. But if I go to the left, it's going up. So this time I have to go up. If I go to the right, it goes down. So one of my zeros for this one is negative 6.87.
How do we find that?
You do second trace again. So to find the other one, second trace number 2, and move the star the other way this time.
Oh, it's plus?
I think it's plus.
Oh.
Okay, so if I move it to the left, this time it goes down. So the down is left side. If I move it to the right, it goes up. So the second zero is what? 0.87. So now you're going to find the decimal values of B, C, and D to figure out which ones give you what? Negative 6.87 and 0.87. Okay?
Alright.
And continue working on your packet.